看来我们只能靠自己了。
地球错失了最后的逃命机会。
这座工地不是庇护所。
我觉得封面这行活人哪连基本女的都没有。
Hi everyone and welcome to Middle Earth, your source for insight into China cultural industry. Listen to those who are making a living by creating and distributing art or content in the world's second biggest cultural market. I'm your host, Aladin Faré. If you need a location scouting for our next project in China, film translation service, or find a co-producer, you should reach out. And I think that's great to use the Cannes Festival to say that I'm currently preparing to launch with a partner, a French company in Paris with focus on post-production subsidies for Asian project. Also, if you are a Chinese speaker and you don't mind my broken Chinese, don't hesitate to check my Bilibili account, Aladin Shuodianing, link in the podcast description. Today we are or were at the Cannes Festival in southern France. Since I was attending the festival for business, I thought it would be a good idea to check in with my peers also attending the festival to gauge how Chinese films, projects and short films are performing at the world's most famous film festival. Each year since the 90s, we've had at least one film from a Chinese territory selected for the main competition, and this year it is Resurrection from director Bi Gan. Next to that, several feature, shorts and in-progress films have been selected in the various selections all around the festival. For those who may not know, Cannes is massive. It is one of the most watched events on the planet that maybe don't reach the eyeballs level of football competition and the Olympics, but outside of sports is definitely the biggest cultural event in the world. Anyone in the film industry has to be here at some point. For instance, even Song Wan, co-founder of the first film festival in Xining, who we had on the podcast for example, was here to network with film professionals. And so many of my Beijing contacts are here as well. And to give you a sense of scale, over 15,000 film professionals descend on Cannes alongside 40,000 film enthusiasts and more than 4,500 journalists. All of it within a city of only 70,000 residents. So today, to discuss how China film industry connects with the rest of the world, we have three guests. All of us are remotes. We've all been at Cannes at some point during the week, but now we've all shuffled and went back to various places. So first, Tsai Liu Ying, hello.
My name is Liu Ying. I work for a sales agent and production company called Parallax Films. I was in Cannes for 1 week, and I was there mostly for networking with the professionals and taking meetings with programmers and buyers and promoting the films, mostly from China, but we do work with other films from Asian territory.
And actually, Liu Ying is a returning guest from Middle Earth episode 44, Does China Still Make Indie Film? Link in the podcast description. Next to you in the chat box, but already back in Beijing, Clément Magard, hello.
Hi Aladin, hi all. Yes, I'm Clément. I'm French, I live in Beijing, and I've been working with Fortissimo Films for 7 years. I do the same job as Liu Ying. I'm a sales agent, so I was in Cannes last week to meet mostly our buyers and programmers to network and enjoy the sea in Cannes.
And the last person who's actually still in Cannes as of today, Chu Zhezhang, hello.
Hello everyone, bonjour, bonsoir à tous. I live in Beijing, I'm in Cannes now. I came here because my short film, 12 Moments Before the Flag Raising Ceremony, was selected by the CNIF.
Okay, and you're leaving out the best news is that actually your short film yesterday has won the second prize of the competition, because Cannes has a lot of competition and one of them is a short film from students, and you won the second prize. So yeah, congratulations to you. All right, so we'll mainly discuss today how important Cannes and International Film Festival in general is for film and how Chinese film can leverage those platforms, how the industry, market and audience taste are evolving, and our impression of this year's film festival. And as usual, we'll finish the panel conversation with a podcast usual quiz where one of our guests will win a prize. First, I think it would be fun, quote unquote, for our audience to understand how demanding it is to attend a professional event like Cannes. Because me, whenever I told a friend that I was going there, everyone was assuming that I was going on vacation, taking selfies on the red carpet with Tom Cruise and sipping champagne. But actually, it was a little bit far from being actually glamorous. Clément Liu Ying, because you've been in Cannes several times, I would like for you to explain to the audience like what it's like to experience the festival as a professional.
So for me, being part of Cannes is usually means a very intense period of time, which means because everyone will be super busy during Cannes, because it's not only a film festival that shows films, but also a networking platform that everyone wants to take advantage of. So our days are usually cut into different small slots, and usually each slot lasts 30 minutes. So it's a very precise procedure of, booking the meeting with someone and saying, hey, I'm free from this time to this time. So before going to Cannes, we really needed to make full use of our schedules. And we need to send out lots of emails, booking the meetings with buyers and programmers. Some of them we know, some of them we don't. We need to make sure that your day is not wasted. And especially if you have a booth in Cannes, you already spent lots of money in renting the booth. So you don't want your booth to be empty. And other than that, of course, the official program of Cannes is very enticing. So as a cinephile myself, I wanted to watch some films at least. This means combining your busy meeting schedule with the screening schedule, which is kind of like Mission Impossible. So it's always like a game of keeping the balance and a game of making the full use of the very limited time that you're in Cannes. So yes, it's a very intense period of time.
Yeah, because for those who don't know, so you do have like all the official screening places where you go see the star on the red carpet, but there are like several selections. There is even like a VR XR competition. But then yes, on the other side you have like all the professional meetings, like Clément, Liu Ying and me have been there. So I don't know, Clément, jumping to you, like how, because I guess you've been in Cannes several times, how did it went for you? How is the business going? Like, do a lot of people, because you said you mainly sell Chinese film, so I'm wondering like how are things going? Like, did you sign a lot of contracts? Did you meet a lot of people interested into your product?
Yeah, so that's the objective, to meet people interested in our products and sell those. But I must say this year we had a tiny lineup with only 3 new titles, and one that we think that can be a good sale, but the movie is not completed yet. So it was more introducing the movie to the buyers. Even if we don't sign the contracts on site, it's very important that they know about the film. So when the movie is out, we can be efficient in the sales. I've been to Cannes, I guess, around 10 times. And this pressure of doing many meetings because you've spent money on your booth or you've spent money on your travel, and you want to and you see so many buyers from all around the globe, all around the city. And the first years I was under pressure to meet as many people as I could and try to benefit the most. But now I'm a little bit more relaxed, because I know it's not very useful to go to all those parties and to meet all those people you see in the street. I mean, this is my own perspective. So I try to do the meetings that I think are useful, which are not, there are many, but not as crazy as I guess a big company would have, because we're a smaller company with a smaller lineup. So, but still there's kind of a feeling of being overwhelmed by so many events and people, and only doing, you're part of Cannes, you see so many movie stars and so many movies and big movies, and you're on a very small part of the festival. Maybe you bring 3, 4, 5, 6 films that are not, sometimes not even in the selection of the main competition of the event. You're just selling movies on the market side, not on the festival side. So yeah, it's a very busy period with a lot of people you can meet, but I try to focus on what I can do. And for example, the movie screenings, I just gave up a few years ago. It's too difficult to go watch movies. So when the festival offers me a ticket at night, I would go. But going myself, with the alarm clock in the morning at 9, like cinephiles like Liu Ying might do, or some other people might do at 9 a.m. before the meetings. Unfortunately, I'm not strong enough. So I just gave up on the screenings.
I'm wondering, just to take a step back, like, because today with the age of the internet and everyone, can send screener over Vimeo or YouTube, things like that, like what are actually still the value of going to those film festivals and paying a really expensive booth? I mean, just, to be transparent, I paid myself a market pass that was €500. I managed to get an early ticket. And I still think at the end of the day, it was worth the money, but it's quite the investment to go all the way to Cannes. Also, I had like a family friend, so I could stay really for cheap in city downtown, whereas like some Ibis hotel you have to pay €300 for just one night. As of today, internet is like, so you can every day now we can send screener, everyone can do Zoom meeting. What's the point of still going to those festivals?
Yeah, I think in the age of internet, making face-to-face connection is still quite important. And it happens to me that for the first meeting with someone new, you talked 30 minutes only about, your business and this very rigid, non-interesting talk. But it takes maybe 2 to 3 markets for you to get closer to these people, and all of a sudden you can find some interesting part from him or her. I think that is the moment that the interaction really works out. So I think it's still very precious for me to meet people there. And of course, for some market screenings, you can't, like for some films that are not available online yet, it's also essential to watch the market screening, which is not the particular, like a specific job for a sales agent, but I'm always very interested in finding out the new project. And I'm also doing some curation and programming. So it's good to keep an eye on what's coming up.
Yeah, quickly. The question you ask is something that I ask myself often. What's the use of doing all those markets? But now my conclusion, also because during COVID, we did a lot of online meetings. And I would say that over the past 3 years, or even the past 10 years, it's very obvious that the two movies that I sold best, like really good money, those two, I never met the clients in my life. So I remember my colleagues, they were like the old school and said, Clément, you should come out at night and go to these parties. This is very important. I say, yes, but how many contracts you bring by from these parties? Nothing, never. And the movies I sold very well, I never met in person the clients. So yeah, this is actually a question, how much you want to spend on those travels. So my conclusion is that, it's good to have some in a year. One or two in 1 year. But in terms of really usefulness, it's not useful to travel to all of those. But I would say that the value of it is not much like the contracts you will make on site, because again, I believe it's more about the product you're selling that matters. What's the movie you're selling? If the person is in the US and you're in China, you never meet, it's fine if they like the movie because they can watch it online. It's more about the market intelligence that you gather from all your meetings in Cannes. You talk with the Brazilian person, whatever, Russian buyer, American. And through the talk, you ask him about the market and he tells you specific stories about the release of whatever film, about the market. So it's more about all this intelligence that I gather and I have in mind. And, it prints better your mind when you talk face to face. Because when you talk on Zoom, you just talk about business and the movie, the contract terms and stuff, but you don't have time to talk too much about. So these meetings are important for business intelligence, I would say.
Clément says he doesn't like to go to those parties, but I saw you at China Night and you were really dashing in your tuxedo. So I don't know if I would agree with that. But anyway, I'm coming back to Liu Ying, because when we had our pre-interview and we talked about, the value of festival, things like that, you said festival are a really good way to curate and find new creators and upcoming films and things like that. So could you elaborate a little bit on this?
Yeah, true. And of course, when you go to some random screening and you feel impressed by one film, it's like a good starting point for you to follow up the career of the director or the producer. And often you find them making more new titles, interesting titles in the next few years. So it's a good start.
And we do have a director in the room now, Zhe Zhang. So again, like we said, your short film 12 Moments Before the Flag Raising Ceremony was selected at the CNEF section, which is the section which is about a film student. So you won second prize just yesterday. That's right off the bat news. So I'm wondering, could you talk to us about quickly your film, not so much the editorial, but how you made it and how it was selected at Cannes? And what do you feel this film festival is bringing to you?
Yeah, sure. My film is about a student in Beijing. He just want to create a flag raising team, and he was the flag raiser of that team. But during the process, there's a lot of difficulties. That is the story. Yeah, and I just submitted on the website. And I received the email 2 months later from the La CNEF. From that moment, I know that I was selected. Yeah.
And just to give some context, you make it sound super easy, but just for the audience, just to know that over 2,700 short films have been sent to that specific selection, and around 10 or 12 are being screened. So the ratio to be selected is quite low.
I feel the festival is really awesome. Everybody loves film, and every day got lots of screening of the great movies and lots of events for the young filmmakers and for the producers or something. Yeah, And I really enjoyed the weather here and the sunshine and the beach. We go swimming every day. We didn't go to the events or get any contracts back because we go to swimming every day.
I gotta say, it was my first time in Cannes this year. I'm really touched by how there's really a great vibe of you can just talk to everyone, talk about movies, and talk about like project. It's really a great place to be. Like I think anyone liking movies, if you can pay for it, like I think I treat this as like my yearly vacation. You know, some people they would go climb in Nepal or swim in Bali, but I guess Cannes could be a vacation in itself. Now moving on, like how Cannes and those big film festival help Chinese creators. So this year, a Chinese speaking language film, Resurrection, directed by Bi Gan, with Jackson Lee is on the main competition. At this moment of recording, we don't know if it will be the Golden Palm, and no one has seen it in the room. But yeah, I've seen like the review on Letterboxd and on the professional film critics, so I don't know. I guess it's either it's going to win big or it's just going to win nothing. So we'll see about that. Now turning to the two sales agent professional, distributor professional, like I was wondering how being selected at Cannes or any big film festival, you know, like Toronto, Berlin, Venice, like how does this impact a film lifespan and a director's career?
It's obviously a very nice exposure to start with to launch the sales of a movie because it gets on the radar of buyers. It gives a label and it gives a reason for buyers to spend some time and maybe watch it. But that's the first step to try to get the attention of the buyers. But then the second step in terms of sales, most Chinese movies that we're selling, the buyers, they need to watch the film. I think it was the German buyer of this Resurrection movie. They bought the movie during Berlin without watching nothing. They just watched 1 or 2 clips of the movie. So that happened for big names because Bi Gan was in Cannes, I think, twice before. It has 2 movie stars. So it happens that you can sell movies without buyer watching the film. But for the movies that we do, I mean, most of the time, when it's not a big name, the director, then people need to watch. So if it's in the festival to be launched, it's good, but then they need to watch the film. If they don't like the movie or the movie doesn't connect with their market, then they will not make an offer. So I would say that festivals are a strong plus, but not enough to sell the movie. It still needs, because sometimes the festivals, their program is very good for movie lovers and cinephiles or journalists, but it doesn't work with the mainstream market or audience. So sometimes the market and the festivals, their choice is separated.
To add to what Clément just said, I think it's we need to more or less differentiate different festivals. For example, I think Cannes is a very special festival that will influence a lot on the sales. If your film is selected in the official program of Cannes, I think the performance in sales is already guaranteed to be the next level. Whereas if your film is selected by, let's say, Berlinale in Panorama, even its official selection, it doesn't necessarily mean that your film will sell, especially the films from Asia or from China more specifically, because the program is curated for cinephiles, not for the bigger market, or Berlin is very famous for being too art house at some point. So I think there are different categories of festivals. And one thing to add on that I found out that after doing some years of sales and festival strategy, and after talking with some bigger sales company from Europe, I suddenly found out that they actually don't put too much emphasis on festivals. Usually for some titles they're selling, they only emphasize on the premiere or the 2 other festivals that follows, and then they switch to the sales immediately, which is a very interesting case to me, because sometimes I feel, maybe your film should go to like 50 festivals before it can be sold, but this is not the case actually. So the festival performance and the sales are not necessarily relevant or dependent to each other.
So to take a step back out of the festival, it's in terms of like how does Chinese speaking film horror, because now we're talking about like, you know, selling movies in cinema around the world and platform. So most of them will, unless you're a blockbuster, you definitely, I think, need, to my understanding, a bit of a festival run, at least like one good festival picking you up. But then how does like Chinese film, how do they do on the international market in the current states?
Well, if you see the figures, there are not many Chinese movies that are actually released around the world. You have what you call community releases. So for the Chinese community in America or the UK. So every year you have the Chinese big hits that are actually released in the US and UK and Australia. But those are what we call community releases for the Chinese community. Out of this, you don't have many titles. Even the movies that we're selling, we can ask Liu Ying, but the movies we're selling that actually got a theatrical release in several countries, this I would say only one, the animation Deep Sea, and we sold 2 Chinese movies to Netflix. That was a global release. That's good also. But except from that, it's rather small. So in reality, it's not big. The good news for me is that the buyers, sometimes they don't care that much if it's Chinese or not Chinese. Anyways, we're not Hollywood movies. We're non-Hollywood. So being non-Hollywood, we're a small part of the market in any country in the world when you're not Hollywood or local. And for those titles, the buyers, they actually care about the content, not too much about the country. I would say that now we mostly do genre. We find it's more easy because that can travel better. So the genre is maybe more important than the country. Obviously, China is strong for several genres like animation right now, maybe wuxia also, but this is declining. So yes, I don't think too much in terms of Chinese movies selling to the world. I think about strong, good genre movies that can sell or not.
Yeah, I also agree with Clément, and I think for the films that we are selling, they are relatively small compared to the commercial films. And in the Chinese film industry, there are 2 ends actually at this moment. One is the mainstream commercial films that actually don't care so much about the overseas market, except for哪吒, maybe because of the box office is such a huge hit. Then they started to think if they can also make some money outside China. But other than that, most commercial films, they don't care. They like the Chinese market itself is a very self-sufficient market. And on the other hand, there are these like independently made films because now it's very hard to finance a film in China. So in the middle, we don't have like films, author-driven films with some commercial value. So this part is kind of empty now. So we have 2 extremes. And for the independent film, of course, they care a lot about festivals, but then the sales is a big problem for them. For most of the deals that we are talking about, it's not like worldwide sales. It's just like a small release or on streaming platform release. Yeah.
So now turning to Zhejiang, so as your film has been selected, so I'm wondering, you and your producer, like how do you see Cannes as like a stepping stone for your career and your work? Like how do you think this is going to influence it?
Being Cannes, I really don't know now. But after I got the prize, and people from the jury just found me and told me that if I want to make my first feature, and he can introduce me a producer from the American. I think this is like a chance, yeah. Getting to the Cannes means a lot of chance, and you get the chance to meet the people from your age, the people in the film market or something, yeah. It's just like that for me. And of course, it really spread my horizon.
Because, also to re-explain what I found interesting in Cannes is that we have the main competition with the Bigan latest film Resurrection that has been selected, but then we have around 4 or 5 different selection, like Critics Week, Directors Fortnight, short film festival. Also you have all the work in progress, because there are like several work in progress in documentary and film. Also you have all the market itself, where people I check, I think you have at least 50 movies, if not more, of movies that are just for the market itself, to be sold all across territories. If I recall, Liu Ying, during our pre-interview, you said that Cannes was actually basically the beast of it all. That's the biggest place to be, the biggest market, the biggest film festival.
Yes, of course. And of course, now the economy is not doing great everywhere. So for the professionals, they also need to calculate which festival to go to. As you said, as we discussed, we can't go to every festival or every market. So it's time to make some decisions. And Cannes is the festival, the market that everyone wants to go.
So Liu Ying, you said that now it's basically Chinese film is either big blockbuster that will solely be put in China, and if they go abroad, that, like Clément said, it's a community screening, and those blockbusters only make 1% of their money abroad. Or it's like really indie film that needs to go to film festival, and there's nothing really in the middle. Yeah, so I'm wondering if both of you guys could expand a little bit on that, if you have anything more to say regarding like a project that you've seen or the way the market goes, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, right now I feel it's very tough to find. We are like looking for movies that Liu Ying said in the middle, neither very commercial local hits, that mostly romantic comedies that don't travel. Not only Chinese, but most romantic comedies, I don't think they travel great, even other countries. So these local hits don't work. And then the very art house, we leave those to Liu Ying because we think it's very difficult to sell. We try, but it's a very niche market. So it's good that people still do it, but we feel it's very difficult. So in the middle, that's what I said. We're looking for bigger budgets, genre films. We have a hard time to find those films right now in China that can travel. Like the Resurrection, the movie in Cannes, obviously it's a young but very awarded director already. Movie stars, a big production value, genre. I think it's fantasy, epic. So this is very much the kind of project we're looking for. But there are not many like this, and also this one goes to Cannes, so this is like the top. Well, I've not seen the movie. I don't know if it will sell well. If it's I think it's still very specific and art house and author. But I still think obviously Cannes competition in Western countries, there's still a market for big author Cannes competition movies. But yeah, this kind of movie in China, we find it hard to find right now, and I think indeed there is not too much produce movies like that.
I think all of us in the room are a bit older than Zhe Zhang. So turning to the two professional, you see that Zhe Zhang has been selected and won second prize at the student short film. I'm wondering, for both of you who are in the distribution and with a lot of years in this industry, what advice would you tell him to how navigate his career for the next movie and for his first feature? Like, what do you think should be his strategy?
I always tell filmmakers to follow their heart. Maybe this is not the right suggestion at the moment for the survival in the market. Yeah, because Zhi Zheng was telling me that he wanted to make a documentary about his grandmother. And we were actually in one meeting with a French distributor, French sales agent, and we talk about Zhi Zheng's new project. And the distributor, the sales agent, was like, it's going to be hard. No documentary, it's hard. But if a director wants to make it, he can make it.
I don't know, I just think like the short films, maybe it's not like really easy to sell, yeah. I think like the feature is much easier to sell, right? Because no one wants to watch a short films in the theater or on the TV channel. So I think the short film is just you can shoot everything you want. It's more free to produce or something.
Yeah, because to my understanding, short films are basically stepping stone to making a feature. Like, no one makes money by doing short film. Like, it's only by being selected to film festival, and then you get under the radar of film curator and so on, and producer, and then maybe it could be the next step for a feature. When you made your short film, did you ever thought you would be selected at one of those big festivals like Cannes?
I think I will be selected by some festival, but I didn't expect it is Cannes, and I don't know what to say when I get to know I get the prize. Yeah, that is really amazing. Yeah, I didn't expect it.
The one thing that I was quite surprised over my time in Beijing was that every time I talked to film directors and I would, want to work with them to send their movie to film festival, basically they all said, "Oh, we tried our chance at Cannes and we got rejected, and so we don't want to bother sending our films everyone else." So it was interesting to see how Cannes is like such a strong magnet for directors, but it feels that outside of Cannes, most directors, they just don't know much. Maybe Berlin and Toronto and Sundance, but that's it. I feel like we always talk about Cannes, but I think the audience should realize that there are like this whole ecosystem of film festival all across the planet with specific genre. And I feel like some directors in China, maybe they should also try to, try their luck on maybe B+ level to tap into a specific audience, like if it's a thriller or a fantastic film or science fiction and whatnot. Like I feel Cannes maybe suck the oxygen out of the air, and not so many other film festivals get like the credit that they should in China.
I think you're definitely right, and this happens all the time when we try to talk with the filmmakers, and they all aim at going to the Sanda, which is Berlin, Cannes, and Venice. Other than that, they don't bother, or they don't even want to try. But as you said, it's a very like a systematic ecosystem, and they are actually this A-list B-list festival is also sounds a bit ridiculous to us, because this is also kind of like a random list that the producer association came up to put different festivals into different categories. Of course, A-list festival is important for some Chinese projects because if you win something at A-list festival, there's a rule in the whole ecosystem of Chinese film industry that you can get some subsidies from the local region where your film is registered. Other than that, actually, I think this system, this A-list, B-list doesn't really matter, because there are way more festivals around the world that are more important than for example, B-list festivals. And of course, for lots of genre films, there are many genre festivals that are attracting more buyers from the niche market, or the queer festivals around the world that attract queer buyers. So you don't have to only aiming at A-list festival or Santa. That is a bit of a 眼高手低 for me. Like you aim too much, but actually your the capability is on the lower level. Yeah, I think like for independent films, going to festivals is building up your resume. So it's better if you go to more festivals than you can. So yeah, trying your luck with other festivals is also a good strategy.
Yeah. The Chinese producers, they're more into Cannes also because the large audience, they only know those three in China. Cannes, Venice, Berlin, plus maybe Tokyo, Busan, because it's close by. But apart from those, it's true that in terms of domestic marketing, it doesn't help. But maybe what they don't understand sometimes is what we want when we go to festivals is to help the international sales, not their domestic distribution. So there is a little bit of a clash there. And most Chinese producers so far, they've not traveled too much outside because they are based in China. They sometimes don't speak English. So they have not been there to those places. And it's then easy to understand why they only know the big names because they've not traveled to the others. So yeah, this is a little bit part of our job to talk to producers and explain them what's the use of going to other festivals and genre festivals and festivals never heard of.
Zhezhong, in terms of your short film, so you've been selected. Do you know if your short film will be automatically selected somewhere else? Do you guys have like a distribution plan? Like what's the future of your short film?
Actually, I just want the festival from my country, from China mainland, can select it. Yeah, so that I can invite lots of people to watch it and experience it. Yeah, this is my goal. Yeah.
That's your goal, but what is your producer goal and your distributor goal? Like, do you guys have thought about a strategy?
You can ask my distributor now.
We are the sales agent of the film. Now we are trying very hard to push the film, and of course, after the success of yesterday, we have done some social media promotion right away and send out newsletters in the hope that we can get some invitations soon in the future.
So according to your experience, I guess a lot of people are going to at least put it on the top of the pile since it's, won a prize at Cannes.
Yes, and hopefully it means also some chances in sales, because I know the French television, they are buying shorts, especially the shorts that win prizes in Cannes. And we had some collaboration before, so I hope this film can also be picked by bigger TV stations.
I think my last question is always about do you guys have one last word for the audience? Like, is there anything that you guys want to share that you think is important regarding Cannes, the way Chinese stories go to Cannes and to those big film festival?
I could say to the audience, please guys, get ready for the release of our new movie. The English title is The Girl Who Stole Time. We pitched the movie in Cannes, and it will have its international premiere at Annecy Festival. That allows me to tell me that it's a huge festival for animation in France. So hopefully the movie will get released in many countries and our audience will be able to watch it on the big screen. It's a Chinese animation in 3D.
Ads are more than welcome. Okay. Zhezhong, do you have any last word, like, how the festival was for you, your hope for the future, something you learned along the way going to Cannes?
Actually, I'm still thinking about it, but I just want to say maybe it's like, maybe for me, it's more like a trip. Yeah, I don't get really excited when I know I get the prize. Yeah. The festival is like a game. It's about luck and about choice and about politics. I think every festival is like that. Yeah, just do the short you want to make. Just make the film you want to make. It's okay. Yeah.
A very general thing to say that everyone should at least go to Cannes once in their life, and you will find different ways to be part of the festival, whether you are just a cinephile or a professional or has nothing to do with cinema. There's always some part of Cannes that you can enjoy.
No, I agree with you. Like, I kind of regret I didn't go earlier, but yeah, that's what happened when you work mostly in TV documentary. But what's funny is that still, even if you are a cinephile, like a moviegoer, you still have to send them a freaking letter of recommendation so that they pick you up as a cinephile. Like, you can't just like buy a badge the way you want it. Like, you have to prove to them that you watch a lot of movies or that you have a blog or a xiaohongshu, I guess, or things like that. So, even going to Cannes, like it's not for everyone. Even when I applied for the market, I had to send them my CV. Like, I paid and then I had to send them my CV and I had to wait 1 week before they said, congrats, you can go. Thank you for your money. So, thank you guys for sharing all of those information. I think, that was a good talk regarding the Cannes Festival. And so now to end the podcast, we're going to go to my favorite part of the show, the quiz, where we will see who is the most knowledgeable among our guests regarding today's topic.
I know I'm going to lose, so do I need to play still?
Yes, because if you lose, then at least, you're going to be humiliated by it. Come on, Clément, pour la France. Come on, like, try to at least score.
I bet that Liu Ying will win, but let's try, yeah.
Don't put pressure by saying that.
You know what? People who say I don't win, they always win the quiz. Like everyone.
You will see. What's to win? What's the award? A trip to Canada next year?
Well, yeah, sure. No, we don't have the budget right there, but hopefully at some point. So the rules are simple. I will ask you a few questions. If you know the answer, you first buzz in with your name. Each correct answer gives you a point, and the person with the most points obviously win the quiz, and the winner will win a small prize. So there is 3 questions and 1 backup question. So question number 1, let's go back to history a little bit. Can you tell me why was the Cannes Festival actually created in the first place? Zhezhong, yeah?
I think it's about against the Viennese, against the Nazi.
Yes, indeed. So the Cannes Festival was created in 1939, and the goal was like to counter the Venice Film Festival that was totally shaped by fascist and Nazi ideology. So the Jean Zay, like our French Minister of Culture and Education, decided to create this festival. One point for Zhezhong, congrats. Question number 2. As you know, there is a jury at the Cannes Festival. So question number 2, who was the first Chinese jury president? It's a famous actress.
Really? Zhang Manyu?
No.
Clément, 那个谁，龚丽。
Yes, indeed, it is Gong Li. So 1 point for Clément. Question number 3. Let's play Guess the Number. Can you tell me how many Chinese mainland movies joined the international competition? So I counted the co-production and it's really started since the 80s. So each of you are going to say a number and the closest will win a point. Clément, you start.
So I would say 30.
30, okay.
Sorry, maybe 25, sorry.
I say 12.
I say 20.
So the answer is actually 31. So congratulations, Clément. You win the quiz with 2 points.
Wow. Sorry, guys. I hate being like that, but yes.
I love it when people say I'm not gonna win. They're always the one winning. This is works every time. Congratulations, Clément. Will send you the World of Chinese magazine copy to your doorstep. All right. On that note, we'll wrap up the show. Thank you again, you guys, for coming. After this really heavy week of party and meetings and screenings. And glad to have you until the end, dear listeners. I guess you like that show, and if you do, you can help the Middle Earth podcast to grow by recommending us to your guest. Let me remind you that Middle Earth is part of TWOC, the World of Chinese Podcast Network. If you want to know more behind the headlines, go to theworldofchinese.com and order your latest copy. Also, if you are impressed by this show guest and need to find an interviewee for your next documentary piece, use a researcher in China, find a co-producer in France, you can give us a call. Today's episode was produced and edited by Aladdin Faré.
Music by Sean Calvo.
And distributed by the World of Chinese Podcast Network. Hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.